All right, so we are live. Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are super excited to have you all with us. This session will be recorded so you can revisit the session on our YouTube channel. If you're facing any issues like difficulty loading the session, click on the event link and refresh the page, and you should be good to go. All right, the agenda for today's live is to talk about lead solution engineer, the role, the prerequisites, some tips and tricks for individuals who want to become a Salesforce solution engineer. Apart from that, we'll be talking about the most important topic for the month, which is break the bias, and lastly, Q&A with our guest speaker, Virginia. Unlike all our lives, which takes place usually on Fridays, this month all the sessions will be taking place on Tuesdays because we are celebrating International Women's Month starting today. The theme of this year for International Women's Month is Break the Bias, and we have called some amazing speakers and industry leaders to share their insights on gender equality, women empowerment, diversity and inclusion, and women in Salesforce. So, without any further ado, let's call our very first speaker, Virginia. Virginia is a Salesforce lead solution engineer, and she is a 10x certified Salesforce Application Architect. In today's session, we will be talking about how to break the Salesforce ecosystem, the working culture, her journey, and women in Salesforce. Welcome to the live, Virginia. How are you?
I'm great, Hasti. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So,
Excellent.
Virginia, for our audiences, can you please share and walk us through your journey and experiences so far?
We'd probably need more than an hour to do that. My name's Virginia Leandro, and as Hasti mentioned, I'm a lead solutions engineer with Salesforce. I actually just started this position right in the middle of the pandemic, actually.
Oh,
I started July of 2020, but previous to my career at Salesforce, I was working for another company called BMC Software. And around, and actually, even before that, I've done a myriad of things. I started out in technical support. I ended up managing a technical team back in the day when you used to have to fly to a customer site and fix things. So it was literally leaving home on a Sunday, flying out somewhere, and then flying home on a Friday or Saturday just to turn around and do it again. So my background has always been very technical. And then in 2009, my company, BMC, decided to do a joint venture with Salesforce. And we built the first IT service management solution on the Salesforce platform. And at that time, I was still used to servers, physical servers sitting in my office or, in a rack somewhere. And this whole concept of the cloud was kind of just starting to come into its own. And Salesforce wanted to help build out their app exchange and that type of thing. And so that's sort of where my experience is. My background's more IT service management, but I really saw where Salesforce was going even back in 2010, 2011. And I thought, you know what? This is something that's going to get big. And I think this is a train that I want to hook my caboose to, so to speak. So I started getting my certifications. I started with the platform, just the app builder platform certification. I then, built from there and just started getting certification after certification, and it served me well because when my time at BMC came to an end, I was able to pivot pretty quickly. I was able to pivot pretty quickly and come over to Salesforce and take up the mantle of a solution engineer.
oh wow. I mean, that's quite an amazing journey that you have had, Virginia. I'm really impressed. And yes, it was a very, like you rightly said, that in 2011-12 you thought that Salesforce is going to be the next big thing, and look at what we are like what we have and where we are right now.
Yeah,
um,
it's amazing.
yes. So, for our audiences, please give Virginia a huge shout out and share where you are joining us from. You can also send in your questions and messages for Virginia via the comment section. So, Virginia, since you are working as a lead solution engineer, could you please tell us what does your role as a lead solution engineer at Salesforce entail?
Yeah, so as a solution engineer, we're sort of the right hand of the account managers and the account executives. So we have the opportunity to walk into a customer account and really truly understand their business. Um, and just not understand their business, but also understand their goals, right? A lot of companies will come to us and they're very focused on the problem that's right in front of them, but we help them think about the future. What are they wanting to achieve, not just this year, but maybe in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So think of a solution engineer as a hybrid between sales and engineering. So once we understand the customer's business goals, then we can sort of start helping them craft their requirements. We develop a technical strategy of how our products can solve some of their pain points, and then we present the solution back to the customer saying, this is how we envision solving your problems using our products. Um, and sometimes those can be interesting and difficult conversations, but we try to act as a trusted advisor to the customer, and help them understand how technology can be a competitive advantage, to again not only support their current goals but also to start thinking long term, what they're going to do for their business goals in the future to help, you know, reinvent the company. Because let's face it, change is a constant, right? I think
Yes.
companies are starting to learn that every day is a new day, and you really have to just keep reinventing in order to stay competitively ahead in the marketplace.
Correct. So basically, your role as a lead solution engineer kind of entails planning, customizing, and personalization for companies by understanding their goals and their needs and helping them stay ahead of the curve by constantly giving them Salesforce solutions.
Yeah, it's being a solutions engineer. I love technology. I'm very passionate about technology. I love getting my hands dirty in the technology. Um, and so being a solutions engineer really gives me sort of the best of both worlds. I still get to keep my hands and my mind fresh in the technology, but I also get to stretch myself personally by getting into the business side of things, being able to bring value into that company and talk about how we can achieve their goals and how we can help them achieve, their business goals, which typically are going to revolve around revenue and net income, and how we can help them be more productive and more efficient at what they're doing. And so it's a great opportunity. It's not just the technical side of things. It's being able to speak, being able to communicate your ideas. It's being able to present. There's a lot of soft skills as well as hard skills that come into play. And I think a lot of people forget about those soft skills. They're like, well, I know Salesforce, but right. But, you have to have those soft skills to be able to present things back to customers and to your coworkers as well.
Yes, I mean, I really like that. You know, you kind of have best of both worlds. You are managing the tech side, you're also managing the business sides, the integration and amalgamation of soft skills and hard skills. It's amazing, interesting. At the same time, I mean, I don't think you would be getting bored of your work because it's like so interesting.
Yeah, it's actually I've always been a problem solver. I've always liked solving problems almost to my detriment because a customer can come to us with a business problem, and my first instinct is always, well, let me jump in and solve that for you. And I have to kind of hold myself back and ask questions, really dig in, really understand the problem before I start even thinking about, well, how am I going to solution for this? And so you really get an inside view of the way a customer thinks and the way that they're approaching their business problems, or even the way they're thinking about their business problems. And sometimes that's part of what we do is we go in and we help them restate their problems. Understanding and being able to explain your problem is always kind of the first step in solving it. And so, we try to make that communicate that as best we can and make sure we heard the customer's pain points.
That's really amazing and inspiring to kind of hearing customers' pain points and then customizing the solutions according to uh, based on completely what they want and what they can achieve. So that's really amazing. So, Virginia, you have been associated with Salesforce for a very long time, even before working for Salesforce. And that's really interesting. So, how has Salesforce evolved in terms of accessibility, the release features, CRM solutions for different domains and use cases?
I still remember my first year of working on the Salesforce platform. And I remember they said, "Oh, here is the release notes." And I'm like, "Okay, great." And I was used to our release notes, which may have been, 20 pages long. And I pulled out the release notes and they were 300 pages. Talk about intimidated.
Wow.
Um, eh, you know, it's really kind of interesting because now our release notes for each release is about 500-600 pages. I think the
Yes.
speed of innovation. I mean, I'm impressed with the way Salesforce has come in and they're able to consistently release such powerful and new features three times a year, putting those features out there for customers. I think watching Salesforce evolve, along with my career, looking at where Salesforce started as a CRM, but then they introduced Service Cloud. Then they took a page from Apple, right, and Google and said, you know what, we want to have an app exchange. And that's been
Yes.
such a huge advantage for a lot of customers to be able to have that app exchange and to know they can go there and get either trusted applications or tools to help them further their business, or in some cases, you have Salesforce Labs churning out these packages, which you can go in and modify to help to help solve your problems. Um, I think the most exciting thing that I've seen is the accessibility, right?
Yes.
Trailhead was such a huge game changer of being able to bring any and everyone. I've actually mentored a couple of folks who have reached out to me over the last year who are going through what I call career changes, whether it was their decision or not. And the one thing I've always told them is if you're really truly interested in Salesforce, go check out Trailhead, go check out those Trailhead mixes depending on where your interests lie. Because that's the way, I mean, that's just, it's amazing to have that stuff out there. Back years and years ago, um, when I was still working with servers on premise, it was Microsoft, it was SQL, it was Novell, and all of that information was held to the chest, right? If you wanted to get a Novell certification or a Microsoft certification, there was no option. You had to pay to go to a class and sit there for 5 days to get the information you needed. And now I think of Trailhead as almost like the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
I need to go learn some. I still remember I needed to go learn Salesforce Shield. So what did I do? I plugged into the Matrix, right? I plugged in, spent an afternoon going through Trailhead, and was able to turn around and help my company at the time rebuild our application to be able to support Salesforce Shield. And so that to me is one of the big things, the accessibility that Salesforce has around their offerings. And now, you look at where we're going with analytics, you look at where we're going with telephony and Service Cloud Voice and partnering with Amazon. It's it just really the use cases that customers are finding for this product and its suite of products almost, and this platform is just amazing. It's really interesting. It's really amazing to see.
Yes, very rightly said. Like you were talking about Trailhead, I recently gave my first admin exam, and I started with just, I hopped on Trailhead and I started doing the trails and understanding the basics, the fundamentals, and it was very interesting to learn, the way, the structure, and everything. It was so amazing, and I loved it. And the thing with Trailhead is it brings a whole lot of community of people who are ready to help you with any challenges or any questions that you have anytime. So, the Salesforce community, and I really love it. Like, everybody is ready to, answer to your question. And that's really amazing. You can reach out to anybody via the Trailhead community or via LinkedIn, and they are so helpful.
Yeah, the success community. I can't say enough good things about the success community at Salesforce. I know when I was at BMC, um, I turned to that group, to the success group, time and time again. And in fact, I still turn to them. I'm about to later this year. I'm going to be studying for my integration certification, and so I'm
Oh, wow.
trying to find. There's so much information about integration, and there's so many options, and just trying to get my head focused. And so I turned
Yes.
to the success community and was able to get some really great insight and some really great ideas. And so now, when I get ready to sit down and really study for that test or that certification, I feel like I've got a good plan that I've put together. But yeah, you're right. Everyone we everyone it seems to me that everyone in the Salesforce community wants to help. We want to see each other to be successful. We want to spread the good feelings and the good news of Salesforce, so to speak. I've always tried to be helpful where I can, because I know that there are others who have helped me, and you kind of feel that want and that desire to help other people. I mean, that's sort of how we're built as human beings, is we truly at our core want to help others. And I think the Salesforce success community is a great opportunity to do that.
Yes, and I couldn't agree with you more on this
Yeah.
because I've experienced it firsthand. So, so this is something which I really wanted to ask you. What is your favorite product of Salesforce and why?
Well, I guess I'm supposed to say Service Cloud, because that is the Service Cloud. Salesforce Service Cloud is the cloud that I support. Uh, that I support. But I'll be honest. I think right now my two favorite products from Salesforce is Service Cloud Voice and the telephony, and actually, being able to get in there and start understanding call flows and an IVR. I mean, it's all new technology to me. And then the other one is chatbots. I think the power of chatbot, you know, if a chatbot is done correctly, it can really just be a game changer for any company. To be able to go in and utilize that chatbot to get the right information to the customer at the right time, without having to go through a whole bunch of hoops and that type of thing. And I just love sort of tinkering with it and getting it to work, and uh, uh, writing flows with that I can then utilize through the chatbot to get information for the customer. Those are probably my three. I know you said one, but those are probably my three favorite products at this point. Service Cloud, because I sort of have to, since that's the cloud I support. But I think Service Cloud Voice and the telephony and the chat bots are probably the two favorites right now.
Yes, that's amazing. I mean, I've read a lot about Service Cloud because I write blogs on latest features that Salesforce releases every season. So there are so many interesting features that are releasing every season, and they're so helpful, and they just make your work so productive and easy and efficient.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so I know why it is your favorite product. And chatbots, I mean, it's just amazing. Like keeping it's just customer centric, right? So um, keeping everything handy. You don't have to look for answers for anywhere, and it's just it's just so efficient to use.
Yeah, and I think with chatbot, I think the thing there for me is you're basically building your own teammate. And this is the way I describe
Yes.
it to customers. I said the chatbot is just another team member. But I don't mean that in it's just
Okay, seems like we have lost Virginia. Um, she will be back in some time.
sorry about that. I hit the wrong
No
button.
problem. No problem. No problem.
Board is going over here because I lean in. Um, I think the thing with chatbot is it's a team member. You're building this team member to help your team be more successful and let your team work on more interesting and harder things. Um, but it's also an opportunity to let your team's personality shine through. You can make the chatbot as professional as you want that chatbot to be, depending on your audience, or you can make it as playful as you want it to be. To reflect your team's personality. But I know
Yes.
some people tend to be a little intimidated by chatbots. But the way I look at it is, if I can offload automation to the chatbot and let it handle that, then I can go work on more interesting things, harder problems, work on more interesting projects instead of having to answer the same questions over and over again. So that's where I see chatbots really coming into play and helping out Service Cloud teams um, as they start thinking about the future and how they can free up their resources to work on more interesting problems.
Yes, true. I mean, once you get the hang of the products and how to use it efficiently, I think it becomes really smooth to uh, use all the features.
Yeah, it really
Yes.
does.
So, Virginia, I know that every career, professional career, comes with its fair share of struggles and challenges. I want to ask you, what were some of the challenges that you have faced during the course of your career, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I thought about this question as I was preparing for this, and I think there's a couple of things that come to mind. So I think one of the things, it's always the work-life balance, right? I could spend I spend my whole day in front of the computer. I'm a runner, so I'll do my run, and i- i- I have to really be careful about not coming back and sitting back down in front of the computer and staying, attached here. My family occasionally likes to to see me on occasion. Um, and you hear of work-life balance, but I think about a year or two ago, 2 or 3 years ago, something finally clicked for me. It's not work-life balance. It's life, period. Part of, I kept thinking of work-life balance, and I kept trying to compartmentalize everything. Okay, I'm a runner here. I'm this person here, I'm a coworker here, and trying to balance all of that. Once I stepped back out of that and said, you know what, it's just life. I've just got to figure, that's all it is. You just manage it. I think really helped me in being able to kind of step back and go, you know what, I don't need to drive myself into the ground to achieve the things that I want to achieve. I think the other big thing, the other big challenge that I learned early on in my career is how to manage change. Very early in my career, we had an office. We had an office in Virginia, and out of the blue, we had one of the companies. We had bought another company. They were all based in Virginia. And all of a sudden, I got a phone call one day from an executive vice president who said, we just shut down that office and we're moving everybody to California. I need you to manage everything that's coming in from customers until we get everything resettled. And that was when the moment when I went, okay. Um, and that's when I realized change is inevitable. It's how you react to the change that is important. And so from that opportunity, learned how to manage change. And what that has allowed me to do is to be a leader. I don't manage people. And to be honest, I have no desire to ever manage people again, but I'm a leader. I can sit here and tell you without a doubt that I am a leader. I am someone that people come to when change is happening. I will have people come to me to ask my thoughts on the change, and I give them my opinion, and it's usually just keep doing what you're doing. When we're ready, when the company or whatever change is happening, when we're ready to know about that, they'll communicate it to us. But I think that's the thing is I've made my peace with change. And as John C. Maxwell once said, change is inevitable, growth is optional. And so for every change that comes my way, whether it's personal or professional, I look at it as an opportunity for me to grow. Me doing this podcast today, this is the first time I've ever been asked to do something like this, is outside my comfort zone. And yet I know this is a growth area that I could be that I could have an opportunity in. And so, sometimes you just have to take off, step off that ledge and take a leap of faith, and trust yourself. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest challenge was sort of being thrust as into a position of being the face of change and then slowly gravitating and embracing that to the point that it has helped me build my leadership skills in many different ways.
Wow, I think, I want to go to the first part where you said work life balance, and then you went back and you just said it's just life. And it just gave a very fresh perspective. I've never heard anybody before say this, that you don't have to have a work life balance. It's a life and it's a part of life, and you have to manage it. And that is so true. I mean, it's a very fresh perspective of looking at your work and your life. So, and the second part, the only constant is change, and change is inevitable. And I agree 100% with you. I mean, there's so many people. Sometimes even I do kind of get overwhelmed with so many changes occurring, but that's where you are going to grow. So kudos to you. I mean, the way you must have handled it, and it's not a very easy thing to do, managing so many people when there's a lot of massive change happening.
Yeah. And I'm the first to admit, in fact, I was just talking to my manager yesterday and he said he happened to comment on the fact that I'm very busy right now. And I said, yeah, I said, I've got a lot of plates in the air. I said, and I'll be honest, I know there's going to be a plate or two that's going to fall and they're going to break. And you know what? That's okay. We'll figure it out and we'll keep going. You know, um, and so yeah, it's like you said, it's just life. I mean, Yeah, what is it I heard today? Somebody said we used to go to work. Now work is something that we do. We
Yes.
were talking about this just before. I don't go into an office. I work remote. But so work isn't someplace that I go. It's something that I do. So yeah, it is. That's sort of where my mind went when I thought, and I know there's a lot of people who talk about the work-life balance, but in my mind, I've always, and my friend Serena, who's on this call, she and I have always talked about the fact it's just life. It's like anything else. It's really just time management, figuring out where you're going to spend your time, how you're going to spend your time. I think one of the best tools that I have on my iPhone is uh, that little weekly summary that tells me how much I've been on my phone from week to week.
Yes.
And over the last, couple of months, I've been trying to reduce the amount of time I'm on my phone. And that's allowed me to be able to pick up books again and start reading. I love to read. I'm a voracious reader. I've got bookshelves of nothing but books. And so, again, I think, um, just learning how to manage my time as it relates to everything that I want to do in life.
Yes. And it's all about priorities at the end of the day, right? So, correct. So Virginia, like we know, Salesforce is a huge ecosystem and it is booming.
Oh, yeah.
And there are lots of opportunities opening up for everyone out there, irrespective of the background, educational background, and the experience they have. So, what would be some of your tips for budding individuals who want to break into the Salesforce ecosystem?
Yeah, this is a question I get asked a lot. And so it really depends on that individual's knowledge of Salesforce, right? Um, if you've heard of Salesforce and you might not be really clear on what it is or what it does, um, there's an opportunity there to get plugged into something like Trailhead in the success community and to start learning about what's available there. I know for me, another area that is always great is, because Salesforce is so open and so accessible. One of the things that I heard from someone the other day, and I thought this is a great idea, is find a problem in your own life and solve it using Salesforce. So
Wow.
imagine you have a kid, and as most kids do, they have to go sell stuff because they need to raise money for their choir trip, their band trip. Help them help help them out. Build a little app out on grab a developer org from Salesforce and go build an app for them and track their contacts, track the people that they've talked to, track their inventory if they're having to actually sell something like that. um, I think that's a great opportunity is to find a problem in your life and use Salesforce to solve it using a developer org and build out a project that way. I think networking, things like what you've got here, being able to bring people together to talk about how to get into Salesforce and um, being able to network. Even though I think the last 2 years with COVID and our response to COVID, I think we've done a pretty good job of finding ways to network. Um, there's ways to flip things around. And when I say that, so for instance, if I go into my Twitter feed, I would probably say that um, 80, 70 to 80% of my Twitter feed is all around Salesforce. You know, we are allowed to have more than one Twitter account. So you could always spin up a new Twitter account and just start following people that are Salesforce MVPs. Go look at their blogs. Um, find other people in the Salesforce ecosystem and start following them. And eventually you'll have this feed that is primarily Salesforce, and you'll see job opportunities. You'll see all volunteer opportunities. If you're plugged in enough, you have your local user groups, whether it's the admin local user group or the developer local user group. they're always looking for people to volunteer and to work, to work with them. And it's a great place to learn, meet people and learn about what they're doing with Salesforce. So definitely look at your local user groups, your Salesforce user groups, and get involved that way. And if you hear an interesting problem, go off and try to solve it. Like I said, that's the beauty of Salesforce. I don't have to go buy a Microsoft license. I can just go download a developer org and go do something. There's a term we like to use: minimal viable product. Does it have to be perfect? Does it have to have all the bells and whistles? The first time you show it to somebody, they're going to go, well, does it do this, this, and this? You know what? Just work on the minimum viable products. What's the minimum you want this thing to do, and have it do it. And then you iterate. You apply agile best practices and you iterate. And this will help you build out your knowledge, your hands-on, and your ability to really understand, Salesforce and the offerings that they have.
Wow, this was really an insightful information that you gave. I've never heard people say this. You are, I think, probably the first one who said that. Try to find a problem and try to solve it with Salesforce. That way, you're going to navigate through the entire, product, like different products of Salesforce. Let's say a developer, you want to build an app, and you will have to learn how to build an app first, and then you will have to implement it and figure out so many things, so which is going to give you hands-on experience, and that's how maybe you will learn so much, and you'll be able to figure out your interest area. And like you said, there are so many people out there you can reach out to. There's a whole community, and there's Twitter, and there's just so much information out there at your fingertips, that it's really easy to um, do and get into field or even domain in Salesforce, if we are speaking specifically that you want to. So
Yeah,
that's a great,
absolutely.
uh, yes, that's a great insight, Virginia.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, so let's address the topic of the hour now that we are celebrating International Women's Month, and the theme is
Woohoo!
Break the Bias. Yes. So I would encourage all our viewers to share your break the bias selfies in the comment section. Um, so on that note, Virginia, I want to ask you, what does equality mean to you?
Wow. What does equality mean to me? Um, Everyone, regardless of their race, gender, religion, what have you, has an opportunity to be their best selves. Um, I think that's one of the ways that I personally uh, define equality. Um, Being a lesbian, I've had my share of difficulties in life, of being accepted. And I think there comes a point where you sort of go, I really don't care what anyone else thinks anymore. This is who I am, and I'm good with it. Let's roll. And so I try to go out of my way to help others who may be in um, underprivileged or um, challenging situations, who may need that extra leg up, because we've all been faced with things that um, may not have been the best, but we're still here. We're still moving. We're still kicking it. And sometimes all it takes is somebody giving someone else just that opportunity uh, to show what they can really truly do.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. I completely agree. I mean, we all want to create a space that does not have any judgments, which is gender neutral, gives everyone an opportunity, irrespective of the class and the religion and socioeconomic status and gender and so many things. So yes, I completely agree to and this is really amazing that you are helping in your way to people who kind of needs that push in some or the other way. So this is really something that I love.
Yeah, in my mind, everyone should have a seat at the table, whatever that
Yes.
table is. But the second part of that is you should feel like you belong at that table, that you belong in that room, and don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. And it's hard to, imposter syndrome. We've all sort of bared that and know of it and have it, but doesn't matter. You you truly belong at the table. You truly belong in the room where those decisions or those conversations are happening. And if you're not in there, just walk in and take a seat.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's the key is being able to bring all of these divergent voices together. We're stronger together. And I think that's what we've forgotten is that we are truly stronger together. And we all bring our own unique perspective and our unique way of looking at things. And in the middle of all of that, we may actually be able to solve some interesting problems because you may have a perspective that I don't have, and I may have a perspective that you don't have. And between the two of us, we go, wait a minute. And we finally make that connection and go, oh, wait, here's what we can do. And so I
Yeah.
think just having those voices in the room is so important.
Yes, that's so true. In fact, today I was on my Instagram and I was looking to there was a page and there's a group called Leap Club where all the women network, and they shared an amazing video where they're saying that if you cannot get a chair on a table, create your own table and then invite people over who are like-minded, you know. So that was an amazing insight.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. I love that. Make your own table. Sometimes that's what you have to do is make your own table or bring your own chair. Um,
Yeah.
and I love that. That's amazing.
Yes. So um, I want to ask, like, what is it that you have observed around yourself that you want to change in today's work culture?
Aside from a 4-day work week, I could certainly use an extra day on the weekends. Um,
Yes.
Today's work culture. I think the big thing is for us to continue to amplify women's voices in the workplace, right? You
Yes.
there could be two of us on a conference call with the majority being men, um, and somebody will, maybe my female coworker will say something, and it just gets run over. It's my I feel personally, it's my responsibility to go, wait a minute. She said, Sue, my friend Sue, my coworker Sue said something that I think is valuable. And so I think it's important for us to lift each other up as women in these meetings or in these situations and being able to amplify each other's thoughts and be able to amplify each other's um, um, voices as we're sitting in some of these meetings. I'm very blessed and very fortunate to work for Salesforce, which is, as we were talking earlier, we have all of our different um, equality groups. We have our women's network. We've got wise women, women in solution engineering. We've got all these groups that are there to help promote and support women. And I think that's one thing that a lot of companies could learn from is you've got to start investing. You've got to start investing in supporting these groups and
Yeah.
uh, letting them come to you and say, this is what we need, and then working with them to get them what they need. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, we still see stories in the news where some high up executive has done something and now they're out, and it blows my mind that in this day and age these things are still happening. So I think between companies investing and encouraging and giving platform to women, I think the other part of that is also turning inward on the company and making sure that there are trainings, not just a, I'll sit here and go through the training and click all the boxes and I'm done. Actually, commit your executives to spend an hour or an hour and a half with a group of people to talk about diversity, to talk about bias. I still have my own biases. I'll be putting together a presentation, and I swear to you, I will be putting together a presentation and I will need a representation of a person doing a job, and every single time I will go look through our personas, and I'll end up picking a white male, and it drives me crazy, and I have to stop myself and go, wait a minute, that's not who I am, and that's not what I want to portray here. And so I always have to take a step back for myself and go make that change in my thinking and go find someone, you know different, someone who um you know, yeah, just someone different. Whether it's someone in a hijab, uh, you know, someone of color, it doesn't matter. It's breaking my own biases. So of how I present information and how I present things. I have to check myself uh, on a regular basis as well.
Well, that's amazing when you said, I think awareness is something that uh, is most crucial. If you're aware, half of the battle is won there.
Yeah.
Because you are aware. If you are not aware, things are different. But like you said, it's really commendable on your part to say this while we are on the live, that it people have their own biases, and it's how we are conditioned, and to be aware of that and to try to change it consciously is something that, is that we are changing, right? We are going into the direction of change, and that's commendable. So it's amazing to hear that, you are sharing your personal experiences. And Salesforce, like I said, has taken so many initiatives for this cause, to promote gender equality and diversity and inclusion. So what can companies do, and I think Salesforce also has a huge um, you know influence on other companies as well. So how can other organizations foster a culture that promotes and sustain women leaders?
I think I know a lot of companies have come to Salesforce to ask us how we do it, and our equality team is amazing here because they are so willing to share. Um, I think the first thing is companies they really have to prioritize it. You if it's not prioritized and there's not somebody's bonus connected to it, sadly, it's not going to get done. But I think that in order for organizations to foster that culture, it's building the programs to not only support the company, but also in turn to educate everyone equally, right?
Yeah.
Um, and mixing those up so that there's an opportunity for everyone to have to learn. I know that I think one of the things that is sometimes very interesting is, making sure that there's a safe space for everyone. If something catastrophic happens and your team is struggling with it, give them a safe space to share. Um, I've been involved with conversations where someone in the group, their ethnicity has been attacked, and they just really needed to share where they were personally in seeing the news and you know that type of thing, and we've give them that safe space to do that, and it's always so powerful. And what you don't realize is it's also an opportunity to build bridges. It's also an opportunity to make connections. And let's face it, it's all about the human connection. So I think giving people a safe space, um, doing bias and diversity training is also huge. Mentorship, giving back to the community. I mean, just if companies would just get out into their communities or encourage their employees to represent their company and go out into the community, I think could make a huge difference across the board. Um, and then just proactively creating an inclusive culture, like I said, set and measure those diversity inclusion goals. I know Salesforce has set those goals, and we're trying to move those needles uh, internally as well. And so I think for a lot of companies it's just making it a priority and finding ways to move the needle.
Yes, that's very rightly said. I mean, to have a safe space in an organization to share your thoughts and to share your insecurities without any judgments involved um, can have a huge impact on the all the employees and all the people working there. So I think to start with, at least we can start by having a safe space, and yeah, it's really an eye-opening insight that you have shared.
Yeah, I think that's hugely important, because if you have, or you have experienced, or you are impacted by something happening in the world today, you know, it, sometimes it helps to be able to talk about it. But again, you have to have that agreement that this is a safe space. What's said here stays here. Um, and it's an opportunity for the rest of us to learn how you see, you being anyone, how you see the world through your eyes. Um, and I think that's, again, the internet, for all the good it has done, I think we have started hiding behind our keyboards to a certain extent, and we've become disassociated from each other. But when you're on a Zoom meeting and you're facing someone face to face on a camera, um, all of that sort of drifts away, and you realize our humanity, right? You realize that there's an actual person behind this who has feelings, who has a family, who is impacted by, the things that are happening in the world today. And to be able to give them that space and to feel safe and to be able to help them in any way that you can, why wouldn't you?
Yes. Well, it's really something that is food for thought after today's fruitful conversation. And I really agree with you. And there's so many different insights that you have shared that are very unique. And I'm sure our audiences must have enjoyed as much as we did. Um, A little something about us. So, we are FENs, we are Salesforce registered partners. We have worked with some of the most amazing and noteworthy clients and organizations globally. We are always hiring, and because we are expanding. And so, if you want to work with us, please send in your applications through our website portal, or you can drop us an email at careers@fens.com. So now we are going to take some questions from the audiences. So our first question is from, okay, our first question is from, okay, Christina Charles. Do you need to learn coding to become a Salesforce solution engineer?
No, no, you don't. Um, it's really, I think probably the majority of what I do is more clicks versus code.
Okay.
Um, but it's also learning how to tell a good story and use the software as to make your customer look like the hero in their own story. However, if you are interested in coding, there is a fabulous group called Rad Women who help take Salesforce administrators who want to learn not necessarily how to code, but to understand code. And it's a really, and again, it goes back to safe space. It's a really safe space to learn that. But no, you don't need to learn how to code to be a Salesforce solutions engineer. Um, you're really just looking at engineering the different products together to solve customer problems.
Oh wow, so that's a good news. No need to learn coding. And if you want to learn Rad Woman for coding, I think I've heard of it, and they are doing amazing
I'm a Rad
work.
Women
So,
coach.
oh
I'm a
wow,
coach.
yes.
Yeah, I'm a coach and a graduate. So it's a
Oh
good
wow,
program.
yes. So people follow Virginia on her social media channels, so you can be updated with all the latest updates about the Rad Women coach and
Absolutely.
Salesforce related stuff. Our next question is from John Lee. Okay, what kind of certification does one require to become a lead solution engineer?
It really depends on what cloud you're going to be supporting. So, for instance, for me, um, it was Service Cloud, but I already had like an admin. I already had my admin certification, my advanced admin certification. But while I was onboarding, I was able to get my Service Cloud certification. Um, but that was part of the onboarding. So as part of the 3 months, it's typically 3 months of onboarding. Um, it's and it's different for every company, but for Salesforce, you go through about 3 months of onboarding. There are certain things you have to hit, and that's one of them is getting your Service Cloud consultant certification. So I think it kind of goes back to, again, being able to demo the product, being able to present the product in a way that's entertaining, and being able to tell the story of the customer is really what is kind of some of the things that is looked at for a solution engineer.
Oh, amazing. So, admin is a prerequisite to get into the Salesforce, and then to become a lead solution engineer, you need to have a Service Cloud certification.
Well, for Service Cloud, if I was doing Sales Cloud, then it may be a different certification.
Okay. All right.
I've got
So
I've
I
got
hope.
one. Yeah, I was going to say, I've got one more minute because then I got to drop for another call.
Yeah, so we are, this was a last question, and so we are at the end of the session. So thank you so much. That's it for today, and thank you for joining us. It was an eye-opening conversation. I'm sure our audiences enjoyed it as much as we did. Please follow Virginia for all the amazing information related to Salesforce, and we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday, March 8th. with a panel discussion. So till then, stay tuned and have a productive week ahead. Thank you so much, everyone, for
Thanks,
joining. Thank
everybody.
you, Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.